My mom invited me to her anniversary dinner after it ended. "You're late. Cover the bill." The first thing my mother said when she saw me wasn't "happy to see you." It wasn't "I'm sorry." It wasn't even "thank you for coming." She looked me straight in the eyes, held out a restaurant receipt worth nearly $4,000 and said, "You're late. Cover the bill." I remember staring at that piece of paper longer than I stared at her. Not because of the amount, but because I finally understood something that had taken me 31 years to admit. I had never been invited there to celebrate. I had been invited to pay. If you've ever been treated like the family ATM instead of family, you'll understand exactly how that moment felt. My name is Claire, and for most of my life, I believed that if I worked hard enough, loved deeply enough, and stayed patient long enough, my mother would eventually see me the way she saw everyone else. She never did. My parents divorced when I was 7. A year later, Mom married Richard, a successful real estate investor with a charming smile and a talent for making people believe he was generous. Together they had my younger half-brother, Evan. From then on, there were always two families living under one roof. The one that belonged, and me. No one ever said it out loud. They didn't have to. When Evan wanted guitar lessons, Mom found the money. When I wanted to join the science club, she said it was too expensive. When Evan got average grades, everyone celebrated his effort. When I graduated near the top of my engineering class, Mom smiled for one picture before leaving early because Evan had a soccer game. For years I convinced myself they were just busy, that adulthood would change everything. Instead, adulthood simply made their expectations more expensive. Because I became successful. I earned an engineering degree, worked long nights, accepted difficult projects nobody else wanted, and eventually became a senior structural engineer for a national design firm. The salary was good, but every dollar represented years of sacrifice. To my family, though, my career became something else. An endless wallet. Whenever someone needed help, my phone rang. Evan needed money for a business idea. Richard wanted help with temporary cash flow. Mom wanted expensive birthday gifts for relatives I barely knew. If I politely said no, somehow I became selfish. If I said yes, nobody remembered a month later. It became normal. At least that's what I thought. Then came their 25th anniversary. A week before the dinner, Mom texted me the invitation. 7:30. Elegant restaurant. Family only. I actually smiled when I read it. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe she'd finally wanted me there because she wanted me there. I even bought flowers. Not cheap grocery store flowers. Beautiful white lilies because they were her favorite. I arrived exactly on time. Or at least I thought I had. The restaurant looked almost closed. Most of the tables were empty. Servers were cleaning. The celebration had already ended. Mom met me near the entrance with an irritated expression. "There you are," she said. "You changed the time?" I asked. "I texted everyone." "I never got it." She shrugged. "You must have missed it." I checked my phone. Nothing. Not a single message. Before I could even process what had happened, she handed me the receipt. Nearly $4,000. "You make the most," she said casually. "You can cover dinner." There wasn't a single apology. Not one word about missing family photos. Not one mention that I hadn't even eaten. Just the bill. That's when something inside me quietly changed. Instead of arguing, I placed the receipt back on the hostess stand. "I'm not paying." Richard stepped forward immediately. Families help each other. I looked at him and asked one simple question. "How many times did you visit Grandpa in the hospital?" Silence. Because the answer was none. Grandpa had been the only person who consistently showed up for me. He attended every graduation, every award ceremony, every difficult chapter of my life. Even when his health failed, he still remembered to call before every major interview. He'd tell me, "Keep your dignity, Claire. It's the one thing nobody can take unless you hand it away." That sentence echoed in my mind as I walked out of the restaurant. I thought the evening was over. I couldn't have been more wrong. Before I even started my car, 3 text messages arrived. Mom demanded I transfer the money. Richard lectured me about responsibility. Evan told me to stop creating drama and just pay. Not one of them asked why I'd been excluded. Not one apologized. Then my phone rang. It was Margaret Lawson, Grandpa's attorney. She said she'd discovered an envelope Grandpa had instructed her to deliver only if one specific condition was ever met. If Claire is ever treated like an outsider by her family after I'm gone, he'd written, give this to her immediately. I barely slept that night. The next morning I walked into Margaret's office expecting old paperwork. Instead, she placed a sealed envelope on the desk. My grandfather's handwriting covered the front. For Claire. Only when she's finally ready to know the truth. I carefully opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. The first sentence made my heart stop. If you're reading this, then your mother finally chose money over you.